getting to the point in the beginning of the video, in the 1920s, and specifically 1920 itself, Czech batovská cena, or Bata's price, or for Tomáš Bata's shoes, prices ended in 95, not 99 or 98 or 97 or 96. Then worldwide, the practice became widespread rapidly. Some places adopted it immediately to be on parity with this activity because it was communicated because something new had been added. Radio. Also, we had punch clocks, inventory systems, and people doing spreadsheet work and needing numbers that were easily scanned. This started the activity of either having X9, like 495969, or 959897, whatever, at the ending, past the decimal point. Now, this was caused by another thing that happened, that in some countries, financially, their smallest denomination became essentially worthless, and they'd remove it, and this included either pennies or nickel equivalent in the United States, or whatever you have in your country. This doesn't affect anyone that does a bulk sale in a negative way, because they can account for these things at the end of the process, because it's all added together as the price total. But it allows you to have a checksum effect if you're doing things with these numbers, because you can say, oh, if we have exactly 10 things purchased, it'll end in 99. Because it's a penny drop for each one, we can count how many transactions, modulus 9 or 10 or whatever, to get how many were going on. This is a way of checksumming big orders. This is also a way of tracking orders, but let's get to the point here. If you do a credit card or a check written out for an exact number, or you do a big bulk purchase to where you're not handing someone bills of any kind, the rounding down of a penny becomes less and less important. This doesn't affect what you might call psychological pricing. Only cash payers, subtracting from a cash amount, would have this affect them. And as of now, 60% of all prices are 0.99. Now, why is that? Because that's the standard non-sale, non-scratch and dent, non-oddball pricing. I'll give you a specific example later, but you can implement it or not. It can be transparent or not. It can work as a way to prevent theft too. But let's go. An untaxed tip. Like I said, if a monetary system eliminates, let's say, the nickel or the penny, or if you just don't want to mess with coins, you can give people, quote, a cash discount or a card discount. You can irrationalize it any way you want to, but by this happening, if I sell you a computer part for $9.99 and you give me a $10 bill and I keep the penny, I can detect your pettiness about the penny. I can also just hand you the penny and see if you leave it in the penny jar. Everybody has the penny dish. It's to round off the numbers because we get tired of this. Most people who are selling you something aren't responsible for the pricing. And guess what? Maybe the business isn't either. I'll get to that in a minute. But this acts as, if you want to, a kind of scam where I'm selling you something for $9.99, but we end up with a penny for every purchased item. So I can count up the number of pennies. Literally, I can count up the excess amount at the end of the day when I do my till. That tells me how many transactions I got. I can then compare it to the number of transactions, the items sold, and see if it comes out right. And also, if I do 100 purchases, we have an extra dollar in the till. That dollar isn't taxed because it's not part of the inventory listing for how much people paid, unless we choose to, in which case it shows that, which means we get a round number, and I know how many people ran a credit card versus cash. If I insist on giving the penny back, I don't count the penny in the jar. Every company does this a little bit differently, but it came from something simple. The cashier, if you had to hand them $1 in the 1920s for a whole shit ton of items, it was a lot more powerful getting $1 to a cashier. The cashier would have to also go get all the items, bring it back, a lot of hullabaloo, because they wouldn't let you shop around and load up a cart. They did the cart loading for you. Full service grocery store, I guess you'd call it by today's vernacular. And then you'd hand them the money. And the cashier could easily, because you weren't really paying attention, just put the dollar in their pocket, not open the cash register, and give you a handwritten receipt, which was traditional and done all the time, and you'd have a receipt, but the boss wouldn't. The boss would be out $1 worth of product. You'd have $1 worth in your pocket that was worth a shit ton. Look up how little people were paid to work a day's work. Okay? You hear this referred to in songs as somebody getting an upgrade and being paid $1.50 an hour in 1970. You get the idea, right? Cost of living was very different, and it wasn't ideal by any means. But that person would walk home at the end of the day with potentially a couple of bucks extra they didn't have a right to. The boss wouldn't get it. You'd get your product. You got what you paid for. But if there wasn't that one penny they had to give you for every item, they went home with a bunch of pennies to use in the coin op machines and stuff like that. Now, that would keep them from stealing. Inventory tracking, 99 cents regular price. 95 cents is a used price, or scratch and dent, or markdown, or on sale because it's end of life. 50 cents is a big red flag to people. Also, people started liking repeating numbers. 66, 77, 88. These numbers would attract people's attention. This is the psychiatric pricing they don't tell you about. Having something sold for exactly 11 cents on the remainder is extremely unusual. And why do you do that? I don't know. That's just how it's priced. Again, if you're doing a check, credit card, or e-sale over the internet, it doesn't affect the actual cost because you are actually paying what you get for. You're paying for what you get for. You get what you pay for. Only cash payers would ever have any kind of rounding error that they would be encouraged to give as a tip, which wouldn't count on taxes, or as a pettiness detector or whatever, as I brought up. Next, search engine optimization. You've all run into this on Amazon and on a complaint I made about Wikipedia. Some algorithms do not handle 0.99 or 0.999 accurately. They don't round it up or round it down. They start shifting numbers around and randomly position things. Amazon, for a long time, even today, if you put in the numbers in a specific way, it'll bring you to the top of the list if somebody sorts by price tag, even if it's $100 more than the one directly below it. The reason is that their algorithm for sorting things by price tag has always been broken, and they don't fix it because people use it to game the system. That's why you see very outrageous numbers for something that are unrelated, but they have the right keywords, so it shows up for what you were looking for, and it ends in 99.9, 9/10 of a penny. It's like, it's so stupid, but it works. Same thing on the internet. Google does the same error because people will put in extra digits before and after, and it causes it to shift the numbers over in different positions. They'll say that $1 is less than 50 cents. It's just the way it is. And so does your brain. And that's why they say it's okay to leave it that way, even though it isn't. Again, I brought this up before. On Wikipedia, when you have things that involve inches and millimeters, translating between them, unless you get above a certain amount, it always makes a mistake. It will sort things wrong. In order to fix it, you have to deliberately include a specific number of characters beyond the decimal point. So it has to be 01.05 inches to get things accurate. And with millimeters, it has to include a leading zero only up to 10 millimeters. Everything 11 millimeters and bigger is sorted correctly, but smaller than that, it gets confused very easily. And God help you if you include thousandths of an inch, 10,000ths of an inch, or hundredths or thousandths of a millimeter. It really screws it up badly. It mirrors the confusion people have in their head because they see shifting decimal places and can't line them up. It's one of the reasons I'm a stickler for this sort of thing, because I want to sort things. And another one I'll bring up really quickly. Personal experience at a business running computer repairs and repair shop stuff and reselling stuff. We had a requirement that we document everything as fast as is medically possible on a computer, meaning it didn't kill the computer. We had a pawnbroker's license because that was the minimum requirement in Portland, Oregon to buy used equipment and resell it. And we did what's referred to as recycle pricing in the area. Your country, city, county, state are going to be different, okay? But the point is, if somebody wanted to sell something and it was new enough, we knew the price tag for it when it was sold brand new. Sound Blaster AW 32 with sound table enhancement socket available. Yes, I can quote this almost verbatim. Was sold for it was sold for $80 up to 120. They would set prices at the company. You have to sell it for this amount of time, so that everybody's on an equal playing field, no price gouging. If we catch price gouging, we never sell to you again, or we charge you a penalty and you have to refund the customer. They were really nasty about it. Same thing with Microsoft Windows, etc. But we obviously didn't pay that amount, or we wouldn't make any money on it. Why would we sell it if we're not going to make any money selling it? And the longer we have to set on it, the more money we need to make sometimes. Other times it doesn't matter. If it's a timeless product, like an op system at the time, Windows 95 could be sold up to the year 2008. It was still being sold for about right. The price tag for it was $20, $25, or $100 for some enhancement. What did it cost us? Negotiable. How many people do you sell to? How many repair jobs? How many reinstalls or repair installs do you do? You're going to need to be able to sell these. Do you want to just get the licensing little piece of paper and hand them a disk you burn because burning became available? Innovation changed pricing. But we get paid based on a discount. Ask anybody doing retail. If they're told to sell Arizona tea at $1.99, they have to sell it at $1.99. That's the standard price. Or what are the price they say? So that 99 says this is standard price. We're allowed to run a sale every month when we get new inventory because it has a time limit to how long you can sell it. To get rid of old stock, because it has a time limit, we have to prove we can sell it. We're allowed to do a sale in the last week of, let's say, a 2-month cycle. What's the sale price? 50 cents. It's $1.50 instead of $1.99. Or it might be $1.95 instead of $1.99. And they'd be special marked as the sale price. And you try to make it really transparent. You say, yeah, it's because it's old stock and it'll expire sooner. People don't buy Arizona non-alcoholic tea and not drink it immediately during the summertime. So you run a sale because you're getting bulk rate. And they would sell it to us at whatever rate. But if we didn't sell it in a period of time because the economy's down, we'd get a discount going on and sell it, and that would get rid of it. That's how you get it moving, bulk. When it came to computer pricing, we would price things for a computer that was extremely outdated. No way to buy a brand new one. So that got rid of the brand new price. And we'd sell it, what's the going rate for one that's been in good condition and is still the leftover from the last time it was sold. Okay, take that price tag. That's the price tag we're selling it at because we're going to refurb it, give it a warranty. Sometimes our warranties were longer than the original. At 50% of the value of whatever the last time it was sold at, that's the maximum amount we would sell it as a scratch and dent or old if it looked old. We would buy it only for 1/4 of that value. So we would pay you half of what we could get out of it. Or we pay you 25% of what we could get out of it, depending on how long we have to sit on it. I remember selling a 286 computer when Pentiums were available. If you have any idea, that's literally like selling a hammer next to a jackhammer. Both have their uses. I'm not kidding. People still bought 286 and 386 computers when Pentiums were available because they were ridiculously cheap, and they did basically the same thing for most of what people were using them for. At the time, people were doing text-only activity. A 286 could beat the pants off a Pentium in certain activities. It didn't make a damn bit of difference until somebody optimized it correctly. It wouldn't. And you can still see really old computers like this at businesses because I would be the guy that would make it to where they would never wear out. I'd put huge heat sinks on really slow computers. I'd make it to where they were airtight. I would solder things permanently to the board, or I'd socket them for easy repair. That was a value-added service, so we could get away with having people pay us for it. But we would have pricing that would be like certain numbers we'd use to track what it was so that I could sort them in a spreadsheet and find out how much used sales we're doing versus new versus refurb versus scratch and dent. And we also had junk sales. $5 flat rate. Anything 00 was junk prices. We didn't bother with the pennies. The reasons behind this psychological pricing, as it's called, as you might imagine, psychological pricing is only about 99% of it. Or is it 1%? What are you to say it is? Make a good joke below that ends in 9. Also, I should point out, numbers ending in 9 and 6 are very popular. Nice. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.